MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, State Farm, and WeatherTech.
The folks at Ford have come up with a new slogan for 1983. In between all those beer and battery ads on Saturday afternoon sports programs, they're asking the ultimate question: have you driven a Ford lately? Well, if you haven't, you may not recognize the old darlings from Dearborn. Ford is launching a multi-barreled approach this year that includes new front-drive small cars, super streamlined coupes and sedans, and in almost all cases, lots of horsepower and performance. At the higher output end of this revamped product line are the Mustang GT and our current road test reprobate, the Mercury Capri RS.
How do you top yourself when you already make the fastest car in the country and sell it for thousands less than your competition, both foreign and domestic? Well, if you're the Ford Motor Company, first you hold down the price and then you make your car even faster. And for that matter, a lot better. The Mercury Capri RS was one speedy car last year and even had a generous hatchback for everyday work away from the drag strip. For 1983, a new larger bubble-back hatch has been added, similar to the one on the Lynx-based LN7. It not only vastly increases luggage space, but improves aerodynamics and thus fuel economy as well. But the biggest news is under that fire engine red hood. This power plant has "Give me a ticket" written all over it. It's a 5-liter V8, 4-barreled, high-output job. A new quad-bore 600 cubic feet of air per minute Holley helps pump out 175 horsepower, 18 more than last year. For you speed freaks, that translates into a 0 to 60 time of 7.1 seconds. That's well over half a second faster than last year's RS, which now should stand for Red Snapper, since it gobbles up more pavement than an army of Pac-Mans. In a drag race against its own shadow, the strong clutch and He-Man 4-speed manual of the RS were in their prime. Even equipped with the new tread pattern, super-wide Michelin TRX tires, there's still a huge belch of screeching smoke at the start of the quarter mile. Combine that with the long throw gearbox and a second to third shift that couldn't be rushed, and you get times only marginally better than the Mustang GT tested last spring. Still, a 15.9-second quarter mile at 89 miles per hour is no small trick, and that will probably improve as our very new car is broken in. This Capri rolled off the assembly line less than 48 hours before our test. It still had under 1,000 miles on its speedometer. We have no doubt that its 500-foot stoplight sprint of a very quick 8.2 seconds at 70 miles per hour is only the beginning. Naturally, with all that speed, you'll have to pass somebody sooner or later, in which case you might want to know that from 40 to 55, it took our Capri only 4.5 seconds in third gear, and a flat 3 seconds in second, the fastest of any non-turbocharged car we've tested. Of course, we already knew the Capri RS could move. The question remains, how well does it handle? Last year's car wasn't much of a star in that area. This year, things are better. The Mustang GT we drove last spring at Summit Point Raceway plowed hard into the corners with lots of understeer. But punch that throttle and the rear end flies outward in a classic case of power-induced oversteer. To cure some of that, Ford has tweaked the suspension by adding a bigger roll bar and 55 series tires. That comes as close to a cure as you can get without a major redesign. You still go headlong into the pylons, but with more confidence than before. You can only do so much with a chassis meant originally for a 5-passenger sedan. The more powerful engine helps neutralize some of the handling advances. The new tires also help in braking. Strong stops of only 33 feet from 30 miles per hour were recorded. That's short even for cars much smaller and lighter than this 3,000-pound pony. Even from 55, halts were brief at 123 feet, as the power-assisted disc drums took hold. Except for some modest front-wheel lock, the car stopped straight and secure with no fade. And I'm also happy to report there were no flat-spotted tires. But with all this brute force, the Capri RS is still an amazingly civilized car. That big hatch means that all 4 standard bags can be piled on top of each other. And the interior, even with the standard low-sitting cloth-covered buckets, is comfortable without backache. As you might expect, you get a completely business-like dash with all the necessary gauges. On the open road, there are even more surprises. At 55, a sound level reading of 71 decibels is still on par with much more boring cars, even with that throaty exhaust. And fuel economy? Well, according to the EPA, you might get up to 17 city and 27 highway in perfect conditions. Our 100-mile urban loop produced an amazing 26, and stop-and-go city mileage, an equally impressive 16. As to price, the base Capri RS totals $9,241, and our test car with no air conditioning about $11 grand. A 5-speed manual option is also due at mid-year. So, is the Capri RS worth all the fuss? Well, let some of our MotorWeek crew tell you what they think.
The best part of the Capri is, of course, the fact that it's so quick, and the new bubble-back hatch really adds to the overall design of the car. There really wasn't anything about the car that I didn't like.
You want to go fast, you like Detroit iron, yet you want something civilized that won't make a lot of pit stops for gas, then the Mercury Capri RS is your beast.
Surprisingly, the Capri handles very well, due in part to the wider tires that they're using this year. It's very fast, but easily tamed for city traffic. I like it.
Without a doubt, there's just no car made here or abroad that quite compares to the Capri RS. With a strong V8, good gearbox, and surprising practicality, it will keep the American car craze alive for a long while longer.